What is a good weakness to mention on a job interview? Being vague. Can you elaborate? Yeah. If you are changing industries, your biggest weakness is not knowing the industry, yet. If you are younger, say inexperience. Anything to show your willingness to learn and develop. I was asked this during an interview with Uber and I was completely caught off guard. I ended up fumbling and saying something along the lines of, I cannot ride a unicycle, for which I immediately regretted. I once got a job partly because of my honest answer to this. I need to know why I am doing what I'm doing. I don't like being told to do something without an end game in mind, without knowing the reasoning behind it. When I work, I need something to aim at. Some employers don't like this because they like their employees to be cogs in a machine they control. I don't like those jobs and I don't want them. The place I was applying to was not that kind of workplace, and they liked my answer. Ended up being a great job where my boss valued my input and trusted me to take the reins on a variety of tasks. I interviewed a girl once and she said, honestly, cake. I can never say no to it. And #X200B. She was so genuine and the answer struck us all as honestly hilarious. We hate those corporate interview questions too. It was more about finding someone who could answer questions like a real person, and had some sort of personality show through. It's amazing how many people just couldn't answer certain questions, as though they were so nervous to get it wrong they froze up. And #X200B. In another interview, my boss asked a candidate, tell me about a time you screwed up at work. She thought for a while and said, gosh, I'm sorry, there are certainly times, but there's nothing major that comes to mind at the moment. I'll think on it while we do other questions. That's what we wanted as interviewers, not a perfect answer, just people that seemed comfortable and normal. LOL. Honesty. I don't think honesty is a weakness. I don't give a fuck what you think. For my current job, I said that I had a hard time sharing my ideas with new groups. Why do you want to work? I'd say my greatest weakness is listening. I'm terrible at interviews. Weak against fire and sharp objects. My biggest weakness is that sometimes in interviews, I have absolutely no idea how to answer some of the questions. Asterisk. Terrible handwriting is my biggest weakness. How so? You'll never know what I wrote down. It looks like a blind man wrote. Actual weakness, taking on jobs by myself, not taking time to train other people to do them. In the end, I'm usually the guy and find myself feeling burnt out. Probably could be worded better at an interview, but this could sound like you're a go-getter. It might also encourage your employer to find opportunities for you to train other people to do things you particularly don't like doing. I printed out a card that says sometimes I over-prepare and handed it to them when they asked it. I got the job. Frame it in terms of something you're looking to improve. Well, at my last performance evaluation I received some constructive criticism regarding X, so since then I've been doing Y and Z to focus on improving in that regard. Honestly though, if an interviewer asks you that ridiculous cliched question, either they have no idea what they're doing and or don't give a shit, or they aren't looking for an answer but just want to see how you respond to being pushed. I work in healthcare and always say, not speaking Spanish, and odds are the interviewer is also not fluent in Spanish, so it comes across as not really a weakness. Win-win. I have a hard time saying no. What is your greatest weakness? Probably that I have no strengths. My weakness is I can get too focused on a task trying to perfect it, and waste time trying to get a 96 to a 97 when 90 is acceptable. On the blueprints we get they say there is a plus-minus tolerance of 3 mm for my measurements. That is way too huge, and I insist on trying to get it down to at least 1 mm. My big dick is always getting caught on things and knocking things. I always say that my biggest weaknesses are the ones I don't know about yet. Because the ones I do know about I can, and do, work to improve on. And then I segue into a conversation about how I take criticism very well and am always open to suggestions for ways in which I can improve my performance. Figure out a skill that's not required for the job you are applying for, but is required for the job 2 promotions above that job. Then say it's your big weakness but that also you are looking to learn and develop that skill from people who are strong at it. And #X200B. Alternatively, if you're far enough along in your career that you have had several promotions and have reports/people to delegate to, you can say you were never as good as other people at / skill someone below your job level must do /, but that's why you've learned to delegate it. In my most recent interview, got the job, I answered, I don't like to stay late. I'll come in half an hour early at the drop of a hat, but if you tell me I'm off at 4 and then work conspires to try to keep me longer, I will not be staying. Work stops at 4, period. Depending on the job and culture, this can break your chances of getting the job, but pretty much anyone can sympathize with not wanting to stay later, and it doesn't come off as one of those smartass, I'm a perfectionist answers. It also tells them that you probably won't be racking up that expensive overtime. As someone who interviews hundreds of people each year, this question stumps almost every person asked. The worst responses are, I have trouble being on time, I'm argumentative, I don't get along with. I also don't think disguising strengths as weaknesses is a good idea either. The best response I think I have heard, besides not being able to ride a unicycle, is, I make mistakes, but I am only human. I am sure I will make some mistakes along the way learning the ins and outs of this position, but as soon as I know I made a mistake, I try to fix it immediately and make sure it doesn't happen again. Just my 2 cents. I hate this interview question. I interview candidates every few months. This is a totally useless question. The field I interview for usually has passionate people, so instead I ask, of all the aspects of doing job, which part of the process do you enjoy the most? Nobody is nervous about this question. Gives me some insight into what they want to be working on, where they think they are strongest, and what would make them happy and productive versus bored. I work too hard, I care too much, and sometimes I can be too invested in my job. Random off topic. But I once had an interviewer ask me, if you were an item on the salad bar, what would you be and why? Which I replied, shredded cheese, because I'm full fat and straight off the block. They absolutely loved the answer and thought I was a quick thinker. But alas, I'm just frequently thinking about cheese. I work too hard and need very little compensation. An actual weakness you do have. And stop with the, I'm perfectionists, I'm too helpful, and all that jazz. No one believe it anymore, you're not fooling anyone, and some might think you're taking them for stupid people. Not a great thing to convey. And hashtag X200B. Also, usually, you have 2 weeks of probation period. They will see your actual weaknesses during that time. If you weren't honest during your interview, that won't help building trust between you and management. Not a good thing. And hashtag X200B. So talk about an actual weakness you have, and what you're doing to improve on it. And it has to be something related to the job you're seeking. One of my actual weaknesses, when I get nervous/excited, I tend to speak really fast and breathlessly. This can actually have a negative influence on my job as I work in healthcare and have to respond/communicate during emergencies. And hashtag X200B. For my next interview, I will bring this up, and say I have discovered that taking a second to collect myself and take a deep breath seems to calm my nerves and allow me to do/say what is needed in a more collected manner. Shit about this job. My biggest weakness is the inability to think of good answers to bad interview questions. My greatest weakness is the inability to answer this question. Takes out a gorgeously calligraphed high-quality embossed card, slides it in silence over to the interviewer. It reads, sometimes, the quality of my preparatory work causes people to consider me arrogant. I sing in the shower, sometimes I spend too much time volunteering. Occasionally I'll hit somebody with my car. Money. I'll work much harder if you pay me more. Could you say, my weaknesses are getting to work on time and sober, not stealing from the company and awkward interview questions, as a facetious reply to a dumb question? If you are a shy, quiet person like myself, mention it. I let them know up front that I am a naturally quiet person, especially around new people, and it sometimes comes off the wrong way. People tend to think I am in a bad mood, or have a rude personality, or just don't like them. Then when they get to know me they do a 180. So I let them know from the beginning that I am quiet, but it doesn't mean I'm in a bad mood or don't like them or anything. I just don't talk much until I get to know people. I'm not sure, let me check Stack Overflow real quick.